Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's the Netflix series Sweet Tooth. That's right, Sweet Tooth on Netflix. Before I get started, let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Basically, what YouTube does takes the algorithms of all the stuff you're watching, and then tries to match it as best as possible on the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below. Excuse me. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it out every week. Sorry, I'm trying to move over just a little bit so I can get in my normal position. I shift around now a little bit. Also, I have all the links to my social media on there. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. And I have all the links to my pages. So this YouTube channel page, my Facebook page, and for those of you who saw a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right, let's get started, shall we? So it looks like it's just me that's here right now by myself. Oh, wait, there's Morks. Morks is a big no for me. Really? Okay, so I'm going to do the non-spoiler version of this first. So this is the spoiler-free area right now, okay? So what is this about? Basically what this is about is a post-apocalyptic world after a sickness that has, taken out a lot of people. And you have a bunch of hybrid children, I guess you could say, that are animal human hybrids, and one child in particular trying to find his mother is what this is. That's it in a nutshell. And the adventure that he pretty much goes on in this. Any more than that, I can't really say without giving away a whole bunch of stuff. So, is it worth your time? Yes, it is. So this is based on a DC comic. Basically, it's a Vertigo comic. It's the DC imprint of that, if you will. That was done in 2013. Jeff Lemire, who's a Canadian, by the way, Jeff Lemire. And it was a very well done comic, great comic. And they changed it up a bit from the comic. I'll say that much. Not a lot, but some. And the production value is really, really well done. Now, that said, I'm very disappointed that it's on Netflix because it's dumped all at once. And having it dumped all at once on Netflix, it's kind of like drinking a beer and then crushing the can and throwing away the can, and you're not going to remember it after that. Whereas if you had it on HBO Max, where it should have been, you could have had weekly releases. People would have talked about it a little bit more, and it would have gotten much more attention than what it's getting now. Right now, I don't think it's getting that much attention, which it should, because it's actually a really good story to it. Mork says, I agree on the production value, but I didn't like it. That's fine, man. I understand it is kind of fairy tale-ish in a way, but it's fairly brutal too. It's a brutal story. It's Jeff Lemire actually called it it's Mad Max meets Bambi, is what he said. And that is pretty much how you could actually sum it all up. It is Mad Max meets Bambi. It's brutal in times, and it's also sweet at times too. So Morks is having a little bit of problem getting through the first couple episodes from what it sounds like, because that is the fairy tale portion of it. But it's actually really damn good. So with that said, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the rest of the season here in the episodes. If you have not watched it, go away, come on back after you've watched it, and this will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. All right, going once, going twice, going 3 times, and sold. Um, yeah, so you have looking back, it basically, this is the one time that I actually like the way they did the flashbacks, if you will, to, before the Great Crumble. So it takes place 10 years after the Great Crumble started. And the Great Crumble is, of course, when the sickness came about, and you find out where the sickness comes from. It's actually from Gus's mother, Birdie. And she actually found this thing in Alaska, and but we don't know who actually released it. If the military released it, if somebody else released it, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Gus's father, Pubba, there we go, played by Will Forte, is the one that actually released this stuff. And yeah, I really do. It's not spelled out in this first season, but there are enough clues that are kind of scattered about that I'm fairly sure that he's the reason why. Especially when he is trying to take on the Last Men. The whole Last Men thing, headed by General Abbott, that are trying to find hybrids and basically wipe out hybrids, and then also find a cure as well. And having Pubba digging up this suitcase, if you will, with a couple of different syringes of red stuff in there that has biohazard stickers all over it, all that kind of stuff. I am fairly sure he is the one that actually started the whole virus thing, and supposedly the virus has affected people in a way that they can only have hybrid children now. So yeah, there's all that, and then on top of that, you have Dr. Singh, whose wife Ronnie, who got the sick early on, and she's still alive 10 years later because she's been getting this serum, the secret sauce, if you will, from Dr. Bell, who has been experimenting on hybrid children in order to find a cure. And she passes on her notes, basically her entire book, to Dr. Singh, who now has to work for General Abbott in order to find a cure. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's fucked up on so many levels. And then you have the big man, of course, Jeopard, who's a former football player. You find out about his wife and his kid. His kid is a hybrid. He took off. He doesn't know if they're alive or dead. And he's been taking some medication this entire time. And we find out, well, you get an inkling that medication might help against the sick as well. And then finally, what do we have with the flowers, the blue flowers that are popping up everywhere? Supposedly, when people get the sick, these blue flowers pop up everywhere. What are they about? I mean, there's a couple of different things that are actually scattered throughout the series. And again, like I said, having this dropped all at once instead of a weekly, a weekly drop is very harmful to this series. It's hard to talk about it because there's just so much packed into it. It's so dense of a story, and a beautiful story too, and also a horrifying story as well. That yeah, it needed more room to breathe. It really did. It needed to be on like an HBO Max. It needed to be on Amazon Prime, something like that, where you could release it weekly. And I think it's criminal that it's actually being released all at once, just dropped all at once, because it's going to be forgotten about fairly soon. It's going to be everyone's going to go, "Hey, this is great," and then they're going to drop it. Uh, but also at the same time, I'm on the fence about this because I don't know if people are going to watch something about a sickness that is taking over. Yeah, I mean, considering we just went through we're still going through a pandemic at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hard sell maybe for some people on all of this as well. But it's actually a beautiful story. The final episode, by the way, if you don't cry during that final episode of this series, of this season, and where it leaves off, um, Yeah, you kinda gotta check the old ticker there and see if it's still available, because it's pretty brutal, I have to say that much. I admit it, I cried, so didn't have dust in my eyes. Um, Mork says, "Yeah, I couldn't get past the first episodes. I'll see if it does get Mad Max-ish." So, it does get more brutal, Mercs, I'll say that. I know you've probably taken off, I have dust there, so I know I won't cry, is what Mork says. Okay, sure. Um, yeah, man, I mean, when you were talking about vivisection of children, I mean, it doesn't get any more fucking brutal than that. It really doesn't. Um, yeah. Oh, man. And, we still haven't even learned really that much about the last men. So there's a lot of how shall I say this? There's a lot of sprinkling throughout this first season of shit that's already been happening in the last year around us that, is taken to an extreme. And, yeah, the Last Men thing is part of it. There actually are a group of people called the Last Men, I believe, out there, and I'm fairly sure that was not a subtle dig at them. And the whole General Abbott thing, yeah, he's been done before, but it might be a little bit different this time. And then, of course, the twist ending. Well, not even a twist ending. It was you kind of knew where it was going with this. Um, Having the reveal of Birdie being still alive, but up in Alaska looking for a cure for this stuff. Because of course she can't find Gus, who is, the first child. And might be the cure, of course, of mankind, for mankind. And I haven't even gotten to talk about Bear. So Bear being another tragic story of a child her parents died during the sick. Her sister, who was a hybrid, gets taken by the government. She's 6 years old at the time and gets left there by herself. And so she has to make her way in the world, and she finds other orphans like this. They band together and form what's called the Animal Army. And the Animal Army fights to save hybrids. And they're basically taking out the last men. They fight the last men kind of in a guerrilla warfare kind of style and rescue hybrids. And that again is a tragic story in and of itself and its own story that could actually cover an entire series. And this is all within this one series, this one season. And yeah, you don't get this kind of TV very often, like I've said, or this kind of story very often. And when you do, you need to allow it room to breathe. Unfortunately, again, like I said, it's the shotgun effect of Netflix where you just everything's going out there and people are going to, consume, crunch it up, throw it away, done with it, after a week or so, which is a fucking shame. And yes, Pubba did say that Birdie was dead because he didn't know for sure. He really did not know. And yes, Gus always did say he saw Birdie. Well, he kept looking for her, and he keeps thinking deers are his mom because he's got the deer head going on there, the antlers and whatnot. What? So yes, definitely worth your time. Give it a shot. It's like I said, it's better than most of the stuff that's on Netflix right now. Netflix is very hit and miss now. It's very hit and miss. I mean, yes, I have it on there, but I mean, I'll go through and I'll try and watch something. And I'm like, yeah, don't need to see that. And it's mainly these bigger events that I'm kind of waiting for on Netflix to come out. So don't know what to tell you on that. Um, yeah, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So yes, definitely worth your time. Give it a shot. Um, And if like Morks, you don't like the fairy tale aspect of it, you got to go past, I believe it's the third episode. Basically, when Jeopard shows up, that's kind of where everything starts kicking in. And actually, it's the fourth episode. I take that back. The fourth episode is where everything starts kicking in because Jeopard shows up in the third episode, if I remember correctly. And I can't remember how many episodes there are. So someone's going to ask, of course. I know this. And I'm looking right now. As a matter of fact, it says episodes, 8 episodes. There you go. Yeah. And Borg says, okay, I'll watch the fourth. I'll get back to you. Okay. Make sure you write a report and college rule margins on that, by the way, young man. And I want it double spaced, not I want single spaced, not double spaced. And make sure you get at least 10,000 words in. Okay. All right, good. No. I said 10,000. No 2,000 word essay. 10,000. 2,000's easy. That's a Twitter post. All right. So what else do I have going on this week? Well, oh my God. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is Loki. That's right. Loki, season 1, episode 1. I'm going to be covering Loki. That's right. Thursday, I'm going to be off. Friday will be a new episode of The Bad Batch. The Bad Batch. Star Wars The Bad Batch. Saturday is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the weekend and genre stuff you guys want to talk about. We talk about it. Sunday and Monday, I'll be off, and then we roll back around again to another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And again, I don't know what I'm doing as of yet, because that comes up. This was a big deal. I knew that, Sweet Tooth was coming out now. So that's why it was already kind of pre-planned. But I don't know what's coming out fairly quickly. So you will read it, Mork says. Of course I'll read it. As I skim over it. Pick up different words. Yeah. I'll correct it with a red pen. How about that? I'm going to check it for grammatical errors and all that kind of stuff as well. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the evening. Thank you to Morks and everyone else who joined me in the chat. And thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Again, YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, while you're down there, find that like and the share button down there as well. And do both of those if you can, please. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you get the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. I've got all the links to my social media up there, all the links to my pages as well. Everything is up there and well ready to go. So, well, except for the Patreon. I know. I'm still behind on that stuff. I'm bouncing back and forth still between Patreon and YouTube has their own little version of it here too. So, are you doing a Loki giveaway as well? I don't know, Raymond. I haven't gotten that far as of yet. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. I'll think about it. Actually, I'm trying to get something. I'm not going to say what as of yet. But if I can get something, then possibly. But if I can't, then no. There you go. But I'll know better as we're going through the Loki. At least that one's dropping once a week instead of fucking shotgunning it like Netflix has. Yeah, I know. Patreon's been coming since 2018, actually. Works, thanks. Yeah. You may not be all that intrigued by it, Raymond. Trust me. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow for Loki. Until then, Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may wind up in a post-apocalyptic shit world after the great crumble and the sick and all that kind of stuff. And it has hybrids. It's not a good place. Anyway, thanks everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, and I will see you again. Thanks everyone. Have a good night. Good night.